This is the Front Stretch on AM 590, brought to you by Joe's Karting, online at joeskarting.com.
We are just about done with the show as we head into Turn 4, salvaged by Kaziski Auto Parts. Looking for quality used parts? Get your car or truck back on the road by giving Kaziski Auto Parts a call today. Talk to one of their experienced salespeople and get you your parts to get back in running condition. Call Andrew or one of the experienced salespeople today at 402-731-4592. You can also stop by their shop at 50th and I Street in Omaha. Today, Andrew, we're going to be talking about the NASCAR Whelen Series. And there's, as there always is in NASCAR, there's two ways to pronounce it.
I've always known it as either the Whelen or the Wheelan.
Which one is it? Whelen?
I believe it's Whelen.
Whelen Series?
I believe it is the Whelen.
Oh, dang, I'm wrong again. I don't like being wrong when it comes to me, buddy. So talk about the Whelen Series.
I'm going to bring back some history real quick, what they actually do. This is the 31st year Whelen Series has been doing it. They started back in in 82, and they will previously keep running. Like Bud said earlier, there's thousands and thousands of drivers that will actually run for the Whelen Series. In Nebraska, we have two tracks, McCool Junction in McCool Junction, Nebraska, and I-80 Speedway at Greenwood. And right across the road there, kind of in Bud's area, Corning is another track in Iowa. They're the only one in Iowa that run the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series. Just to throw this out here, a lot of guys came out of this. Greg Biffle came out of this. Clint Boyers came out of this.
Carl Edwards.
Carl Edwards just came out of this. There's 28 states still in the country that do. There's 6 from Canada and 9 from Mexico. They are in a little bit different series, but they are all Whelen All-American Series. This year, the top 5 guys, Philip Morris actually won the series. He was from Virginia. Keith Rocco out of Connecticut. And then 3 other guys out of Virginia. 1 guy out of California was your top 5. And even from our area, Bill Layton Jr., yes, Bill Layton, Bud.
Somebody other than Bud mentioned Bill Layton Jr.?
Oh, my gosh, yes.
This is odd.
We have to hear it every week. He finished 6th, actually, and he come from the Nebraska area here. So, like we said earlier, Nebraska is one of the top, and it always has been. And, again, this year it looks like we're going to have some more drivers come from the Nebraska area to be in the top of the Whelen Series.
Well, that's awesome. So you were mentioning about some of the tracks that people can go and see this at. What were they again?
Junction Motor Speedway, McCool Junction, Nebraska, I-80 Speedway, and then if you are from Iowa, Corning, Iowa, which is called Adams County Speedway, they are another host of the NASCAR Whelen. They're not IMCA tracks, they're NASCAR tracks.
But have you ever raced in the Whelen Series?
I've raced in the Whelen Series, and I tell you what, the one thing I've noticed, I've raced in the IMCA and the NASCAR Whelen Series. To me, on a weekly basis, you won't find a stiffer competition anywhere in the nation than a NASCAR track. And in my class, in the Sport Mod class, the one name I have to drop, because he will be a Joe Kaziski one day, he'll be the man, the myth, the legend, is Jesse Saubing. Here's a guy that's going to put out 100 shows in his modified, and he's going to win 55% of them. Last year, he went 13-14-0. Joe put a bounty on him, and at the very end of the season, Jesse started dead last in the feature and still came back and won. And they were pulling, just because Jesse was there in the level of competition, I-80 was able to pull drivers from 3-4 hours away. I mean, that's just how good the competition is there.
Explain what a bounty is. I've never heard of that before.
Well, if Ricky Buddy wins, say, 6 features in a row, Joe's liable to say, okay, look, guys, anybody that beats Bud, as long as Bud finishes the race under his own power, if you beat Bud, we're going to give you a $100 extra bonus. But if Bud wins that race, well, we're just going to add another $100. And I think it was like $1,000 last year. And Jesse, and what's really neat, the guys that have the bounty on them, it really brings out, if you think they're good already, and you put a $1,000 bonus for your racing, it really brings out the competitor even more in you. So Jesse was all on board on taking that if he could earn it. But like I said, guys were coming 3-4 hours. But, Jesse's just one driver in the one class. Everybody in the sport mods, whether it be McCool or I-80, these are all-star guys. Just like Andrew said, you're going to have the Greg Biffles, the Carl Edwards, the Kenny Edwards. You're going to have some of these guys at some point in time will end up in an ARC or a Nationwide or even a Cup Series. But every class, we had Craig Preble, Bill Layton Jr., Joe Kaziski, Ed Kaziski, Steve Kaziski. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on.
The entire Kaziski clan.
Well, when NASCAR had their 50th anniversary, there was 3 of us that was rated in the top 50 in the country.
Top 25.
There you go.
Top 25.
There you go.
Top
there
25.
And Joe's being a little modest because he's actually in the NASCAR Hall of Fame in the dirt.
You are.
I'm in the National Dirt Track Hall of Fame.
Awesome. And you had mentioned earlier you'd raced in the Wayland Series, right?
Yes.
How many races did you win in there?
Well,
Lots.
I've seen his trophy room. I've seen it. Trust me, there's an addition built onto his house for his trophy room.
Wow.
It's big.
You invited this guy to your house?
Yeah.
we didn't mean to.
Well,
one guy we were talking about earlier, C.E. Folk. He actually ran 4th last year in the nation at Langley and South Boston. The only guy he couldn't beat was the guy that actually 2 guys that finished 1st and 3rd raced against him. Those are the guys he couldn't beat. Like we said, there's going to be another guy that'll probably end up in the Sprint Cup Series that came out of the Welland All-American Series. And there's one guy every year it seems like he's coming from there. Martin Truex's cousin, Ryan Truex. He's been in the series for years to do it. I mean, there's so many guys that has been up there. It's been unreal.
And I believe Ryan's getting his start up in the Truck Series, right?
Correct.
And he's kind of doing a part-time schedule up in the Nationwide Series, too.
That is correct.
This seems to be, if I'm getting it correctly, this kind of seems to be the breeding ground for what you're going to see in the future in the NASCAR circuit.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. You know, everybody sees Eagle Raceway or ID Speedway or Columbus, Nebraska at US 30 Speedway. And to a lot of people, it's just another dirt track. Well, it's not. It's something bigger than just another dirt track. This is a way of life. This is, you know, what the Omaha Royals are to the Kansas City Royals. This is your farming ground. What you're meeting, what you're getting autographs from, the people you're seeing, this is the future of the sport right here. This is the All-Stars coming up.
You never know who you might get an autograph from. Clint Boyer was a guy that we used to race from. Who would have ever thought that he was going to go pro? We all thought he was because that's how good he was, but you never know.
Yeah. And so how long is it going to be, Joe, until we see Andrew up there?
That was my question I wanted to ask.
That's in his future, not mine.
Can I be your crew chief?
No. He won't be my spotter, crew chief. He won't be nothing.
To be real honest, Clint Boyer has got 2 dirt cars, and every time I see Clint, I was with him down in Florida again this year for a couple of the nights, and he always asks, how's Andrew doing? I'm watching him.
Yeah.
How's he doing? You know, who knows where you get that next step? You don't know. You know, and I just tell everybody, race as hard as you can because it's a possible you're the next guy that's going to be there.
That's awesome. That's great stuff. And again, repeat where we can go and see those that kind of racing at.
There's 3 tracks right here in the Nebraska area. The first one will start out in western Nebraska is Junction Motor Speedway, right off the exit of York, Nebraska, I-80 Speedway in Greenwood, Nebraska, and Adams County Speedway in Corning, Iowa.
All right, and that all gets kicked off this weekend.
This weekend they are not racing, not every single track. I believe Corning starts the 21st as well as McCool Junction, and I-80 Speedway starts the 5th of May, but this week did kick it off, and May 4th, for I-80 Speedway. And this week kicked it off C.E. Falk, a name we heard, already picked up his first 2 wins this weekend, so he's 2 for 2. And as it goes here, it takes your best 18 races. C.E. Falk's right now probably leading it, but we got a long way to go.
I'll tell you what's really exciting is if you're from the Omaha, Council Bluffs area and you ever went to the old Sunset Speedway and watched the super late models, they are making their return in 2012. You're going to have 20,000 horsepower coming off turn 4. They're going to be lighting the tires, and that's really, really exciting. You're going to see a really good car count this year, and there's going to be good things to come down the pipeline for I-80 this year.
Well, this is turn 4, and as we said, it's salvaged by Kaziski Auto Parts. If you're looking for quality used parts, you can get your car back on the road. Go down and talk to one of the experienced salespeople at Kaziski Auto Parts at 50th and I Street. You can talk to Joe, you can talk to Andrew, you can talk to any one of the Kaziskis, and there's experienced salespeople about getting the kind of part you need. If it's just anything from an alternator to a fuel pump, they'll help you find it. They'll get you back on the road, and it'll cost a heck of a lot less than going to a mechanic and getting it done there. 402-731-4592 is the number to call. And like I said, stop by their shop today at 50th and I Street. Guys, closing thoughts. I know we don't have a race this weekend, but as the off week comes up, if you're one of those 5 drivers, and Joe, I'd like to hear you too, if you're one of these drivers that's having just a horrible week, are you taking this week to get away from NASCAR, or are you more in the shop to try to figure out what's going wrong?
When I was running bad, I was working harder. It's the only way you're ever going to get better.
You wouldn't go fishing and get away from it. You'd get in the shop and figure out what's going wrong.
Get in the shop and be there twice as much as I was the week before.
I could see if the guys are running pretty good, if you're in the top 10 or top 15 in points right now, I could see them, you know, anybody, I don't care if you're first in points or 43rd in points, you're going to be working hard in that off week, but I think the top 10, top 15 might slack off. You know, they could go fish and go whatever. But if you're those 5 guys that have got to earn your way in, like Joe said, you're going to be working twice as hard this week to figure out what's going on and refine your program.
I'm going to sit here and I'm going to name 3 different drivers off. Jeff Gordon, he's going to probably hang out with the family and go fishing. Tony Stewart's probably going to be in a race car summer, probably 3 or 4 times a week because that guy just does not quit. And that's probably why he's the best. And then there's going to be guys like Casey Kane, who I think is going to be pushing Hendricks to figure out what I got to do to make my car better because he should be a top 10 driver every single week.
It's insane what's going on with that 5 car because, and that is great insight. I'd never really thought about it before, Joe, when you said that car has never really seemed to perform up to standards. But every weekend they bring a car that he's qualified twice on the pole. He hasn't had junk cars that he's been able to wheel him away into a top 20 finish. He's had top 5 cars, top 10 cars that he just seems to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate all the fans out there for tuning in the show. We hope you have a beautiful Sunday, as it's going to be an Easter Sunday for everybody. Take the day off. Enjoy your week, as we're going to be having an off week in NASCAR. Next week, we'll be right back here again, breaking down what's going to go on, or actually what happened at Texas Motor Speedway, as we're going to venture into the live show. It's going to get interesting as far as how we're going to do this.
Baby Jesus, help us all.
Ricky, buddy, save me.
This has been The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, here on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Hi, I'm Buddy Ray, driver of the number 25 Party Pantry Modified. When I'm headed to the track or my family needs a fill-up, we all head down to the Party Pantry, locally owned and operated just off the beaten path in Council Bluffs on 35th and 5th Avenue. Party Pantry has some of the area's best prices on food, snacks, beer, and gas, and has a great liquor selection. So stop by and see the whole crew at 35th and 5th Avenue in Council Bluffs, just off the beaten path, where you're treated like family with a name and you're not just a stranger.
Are you ready for fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing right here in the Metro? Get to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs and see what it's like to race real go-karts. Joe's Karting knows it's no fun to race go-karts at 10 miles per hour, so they ripped the governors out, and now the only restriction is how good you are at racing. It's full-throttle, white-knuckle racing every day of the week. Head over to joeskarting.com for hours, prices, and specials, or give Buddy a call today and set up your group races at 712-256-5278. This has been the Front Stretch Radio Show, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Become a fan of the Front Stretch on Facebook, or email Dan, Buddy, and Andrew at frontstretch590am@gmail.com.